Hello, everyone. Let's finish chapter one in the choice. Samuel F. Yette. Okay, now we're on page 30, and we left off where um, talking about Spanky, and he was just talking about how Spanky had naive intelligence. He was careful in his speech, and he did not like Whitey. So let's finish. Did he loot and burn? This is talking about after Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination and how people was looting and destroying property all over the country. Did he loot and burn? Yes, of course, he said impatiently. His anger almost leaped from his finely chiseled face. Sensitive and intelligent, he was well versed on the good life afforded some in America and had decided that he would rather die young than be left out. Dr. King was a Negro trying to do something for us. They made a great mistake in killing him. I was hurt, bad, but they made us realize what Whitey's trying to do. I had believed Stokely and Rap for a long time, but now I know what they say is true. We built Whitey's country. Now he wants to kill us. Oops. Would Whitey really do such a thing? Would he systematically kill off Negroes or place them in concentration camps? Roy sat up straight and adjusted the cuffs of his shirt sleeves, which had the same effect for him as a mounting a stage. I believe the white man would do this, he said carefully. I believe this is worth dying for. To stop him, I would burn this country down. This is my country. If I have it, if I can't have it, then nobody can. Whitey brought us over here, and we built this country. It is much mine as his, and I'll burn it down if I can't have it. Roy's fierce pride helped force him out of school while he was still in junior high school. My mother died and left a bunch of us with my father. He's just a laborer. He couldn't take care of us. I'll go to school with torn pants. People could see my ass. I didn't even have no shoes at all sometimes. People wanted to give us things, but I don't want nobody giving me a damn thing. So I didn't like school. I had to start some kind of hustle. Like other teenagers, Roy was pinned by the draft. He was angry at all the livelihood that he would be so would be called soon. I am not going to any war, he said in a near shout. It's not my war any more than the World War II was my daddy's war. What the hell did he get for it? Bad health and a hole to dig. Stokely's right. Hell no, I ain't going to no Vietnam. Roy admitted that he was not a pacifist, nor even nonviolent, but would he have marched with Dr. King? Yes, I would have marched with him. And I would have been nonviolent for a while until some white man did something I didn't appreciate. I admired the man. I didn't dig his ways, but I don't want to wait 400 years for my rights. And that is so true. We don't have time to wait another 20, 30 years. They are killing us at a very alarming rate. We are killing ourselves at a very alarming rate. And our kids are getting more and more and more farther, farther, farther away from their nationality. We are being systematically killed through food and lifestyle. The entertainment industry has taken over our kids' minds. They are literally thinking in, um, I would say, media styles. Their brain is almost like uh, in download mode. They constantly watching their phones. I go places and I see people on their phone, and I literally have seen people walking across the street looking at their phone, not even paying attention to what car is coming. You see more accidents now, and I literally got a phone. I was fighting against it, but uh, this one incident happened, and I said, "I need your phone." It was at Ray Carew, and that killed his girlfriend. Um, well, I can't think of her name, but if she hadn't had that phone, she wouldn't have been able to tell them who did this to her. Had her shot, killed her and her baby. He killed her so he wouldn't have to pay child support. And then, not only that, I just keep seeing people riding on these phones. I'm saying, oh, I gotta get me your phone. And then, and I noticed all the phone booths are leaving. So, because phone booths used to be on every corner, close enough where you can use the phone. But that's not like that anymore. People was starting to break into them and take the quarters, and then last time I used the payphone, I had to pay 50 cents, and they don't let you talk no more than they cut you off. You have so many minutes, and people rarely have a house phone. Like I said, we ain't got time to be waiting 400 years or even 20 years. We need it now. I really feel hurt behind the fact that they killed the man. When I heard they killed Dr. King, I wanted to go out and kill me a couple of white men. I think death is too good for the man who did it. I believe there's a whole lot of people in the assassination reason why. Because for $100,000, any white man would tell on his mama if he's crazy enough to do it. He's crazy enough to want to tell somebody about it. He's doing it for recognition or money. The most honest man in the world would talk for $100,000. So the guys who did it don't need the money. That means they're doing well in politics or somewhere else. He's got to be a big man, just like the man that got Kennedy. The good life Roy envisioned includes love and family, a home, but it takes money to live in the good life. When this man asked me to go to the army, he insults me. He thinks I'm a fool. We got a war here. He talks about communism. What does he think this is? This is hell. It's a bitch. A fellow wants to get married to a broad and he's tired of stealing, you understand. but he's got no education and no money, you dig. So if I got married, she'll be making more money than me. Roy writhed painfully in his chair. We are inferior to our women because the white man likes our women, and he gives her a break. Look at me, he said, pointing to his thick tan arms. I would be this damn color if the white man hadn't been fucking around with our women. So she gets the break. She goes to school. She's smarter than you. She should be the man and you the woman, lying home and having the babies. No, Roy said, almost in tears. This disturbance ain't over. This white man has made a savage out of me. The only way I can survive is to kill, hustle, and step on people. I don't want to do that, but I have to survive. Now, that paragraph right there is the mindset of a lot of people, especially our young black men. The education for a lot of our black kids, it sucks. A lot of kids go all the way through high school and can barely read above seventh grade level. Okay, that was a problem. Now they made another problem with this No Child Left Behind um, clown show because they are being left behind. The people that is running this stuff, I'll tell you, don't know nothing about how to educate black kids. It's just a doggone shame. And these schools, oh my goodness, I would hate to have some kids in school now. I mean, because with my kids, because I had kids in school in the 80s, the 90s, up to the 2000s. Last kids graduated from high school in 2013. So I've seen the change. I've seen how teachers is because I've always been involved in their school. And the school system has changed tremendously. I don't think for the good. These teachers are not teachers anymore. I remember when teachers was teachers 24 hours a day. Some of these teachers, oh, that's a whole other segment. Um, I don't want to get on that, but I tell you, and they get out, they can't afford to go to school. I mean, it's just so much that's leaving our kids just feeling so hopeless that they want to go out and do stuff that is detrimental to their life and their freedom. The little bit of freedom that we do have, they are willing to lose it and go to prison for years. Just like I just read about this uh 18-year-old. Now he was 15 years old when he committed the crime. He killed three or four people. He he got 50 years. 18, 50 years in prison. Come on. Come on. Is it worth it? Killing these people. These people are dead. And you, 18, going to be in life. I mean, in prison for the rest of your life. 50 years and you're 18. Now listen to this. He says the white man has made a savage out of me. Now you take that. Now this just came out. So I mean it's been a lot of books and people that have sense. Not everybody go and commit crimes because of life situations. But you know somebody is. That's why they build all these jails and prisons, because somebody's gonna go out there and commit a crime because of circumstances in their lives. Now this man is actually saying the white man made a savage out of me. True or false? In a lot of ways, that's true. They the one bring the drugs in. They the one that turns a blind eye to let people sell the drugs. They let all the liquor stores on the corner, all the pawn shops on the corner, and let all these foreigners come in here and set up shop with these corner stores that do nothing but sell food that's there to kill you or make you sick. The only way I can survive is to kill, hustle, and step on people. And that's what they're doing. I don't want to do that, but I have to survive. Now, you got some people, instead of going out there killing, hustling, stepping on people, just become people on the street begging, homeless, sleeping outside, have to go to soup kitchens to eat. Instead of, they'd rather be out there on the street than in jail, where most of the people go who hustle and step on people. What Roy called black survival. Congressional members of the House Un-American Activities Committee called guerrilla warfare, whom Roy regarded as avengers of a martyr's death. HUAC, a standing committee of the U.S. House of Representatives, regarded as black guerrilla fighters. And 3 weeks later, under the chairmanship of Representative Edwin E. Willis, a Louisiana Democrat, the committee recommended to President Johnson a plan by which such black citizens could be isolated and destroyed in a short period of time. Recommended the committee. Guerrilla warfare is envisioned by its proponents at this stage would have to have its base in the ghetto. This being the case, the ghetto would have to be sealed off from the rest of the city. Police, state troopers, and the National Guard could adequately handle this chore, and if they needed help, the regular army would be brought into service. Now, I looked at some of it. I didn't know it was bad like that. I mean, I used to look at Good Times, and they stayed in the ghetto. I never really seen one really up close, but it's amazing how the ghetto, where they put them, and how they're made. And I remember when they closed them off. I want this might have been that time too when they start closing these ghettos off where it's only one way in. And 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 you know how slick they is. Now this is when I was in Jackson, Mississippi. We had went in there. Me and my daughter went in there to get her hair done. We come out. They got they done stationed a block, um, roadblock. Okay, right when you get ready to leave, come in. You don't know it's there. You just are driving and you get ready, think you get ready to leave. Uh-uh. Now see, we had known that my daughter's license plates would expire. We probably would have turned around if we was able. I'm not sure. I don't know what they do if you turn around. But her license plates was expired. And he gave her a ticket. A ticket. $230. $230 ticket for expired tags. And I'm looking at this man. I said, "You really gonna do this?" This was a black man. Because most Mississippi Jackson, 98% black. So this is a black man. I said, "You gonna do this to a black young lady? Gonna give her a $200 something ticket for expired tags?" Yes, he did. And it was only one way in. And they did that all over because they did that in my hometown way before that happened. You was only they blocked it off so you could only come in one way. So if you did something in there, you was trapped. Some of them I guess could jump the fence or whatever. But and see, we didn't know that. Our black leaders wasn't coming in the neighborhood with a bullhorn warning people of what the white man is doing. Once the ghetto is sealed off, and depending upon the violence being perpetrated by the guerrillas, the following actions could be taken by the authorities. A curfew would be imposed in the enclosed, isolated areas. No one would be allowed out of or into the areas after sundown. This is what they're trying to do. I don't know if they did this or not. During the night, the authorities would not only patrol the boundary lines, but would also attempt to control the streets and, if necessary, send out foot patrols through the entire area. If the guerrillas attempted to either break out of the area or to engage the authorities in open combat, they would be readily suppressed. During a guerrilla uprising, most civil liberties would have to be suspended, searched, and seizure operations would be instituted during the daylight hours, and anyone found armed or without proper identification would immediately be arrested. Most of the people of the ghetto would not be involved in the guerrilla operation, and under conditions of police and military control, some would help in spreading out the guerrillas, and their help would be invaluable. If the guerrillas were able to hold out for a period of time, then the population of the ghetto would be classified through an office for the control and organization of the inhabitants. This graph of the individual, the letter of the district in which he lives, his house and street number, and a letter designating his home city. This classification would aid the authorities in knowing the exact location of any suspect and who is in control of any given district. Under such a system, movement would be prescribed, and the ability of the guerrilla to move freely from place to place seriously curtailed. Don't that remind you of something? In the slavery times when they had to have a letter showing that they have been given authority to move about. This is what I'm saying. We are always this close of going back to slavery times. The population within the ghetto would be exhorted to work with the authorities and to report both on guerrillas and any suspicious activity they might note. The police agencies would be in a position to make immediate arrests without warrants under suspension of guarantees usually provided by the Constitution. Acts of overt violence by the guerrillas would mean that they have declared a state of war within the country and therefore would forfeit their rights as in wartime. They look at us as the enemy. The McCarran Act, spelled McCarran Act, provided for various detention centers to be operated throughout the country, and these might well be utilized for the temporary imprisonment of wartime guerrillas. The very nature of the guerrilla operation, as presently envisioned by certain communists and black nationalists, would be impossible to sustain. According to the most knowledgeable guerrilla war experts in this country, the revolutionaries could be isolated and destroyed in a short period of time. They are really edging us on for revolution so they can. Because white people love wars. They love blood. They blood hungry. Oh, I got that window open and that sauce is coming through the window. They want to fight us because they don't care about dying because they think they're going to heaven. Anyway, and they care about their future generations. That's why they've been able to hold on to this system for so long, because their future generation, they don't want to ever die thinking that we might have something and that their whiteness and their white people are not over us. That's why they was willing to die and kill each other over slavery. And like any other U.S. president since passage of the Internal Security Act of 1950, President Johnson could have taken the action recommended by the HUAC without any consultation with Congress, and upon lesser provocation than the uprising following Dr. King's death. President Johnson, however, chose not to take the recommended action. They actually was trying to They was actually trying to take this. It was actually took this to the president to make this a law. But that was a choice delayed, not necessarily canceled. Such action might await riper circumstances, a new cast of possible executioners, and societal conditions which would facilitate it. In short, such a choice will require such conditioning as it is possible only under a more complete police state. A fuller rationale and scapegoat syndrome would also be required. Both of these would have to precede the execution of a liquidation plan on the order and scale proposed by the HUAC. However, a de facto police state and a rationale were achieved by the 1970s. By that time, legalization of the police state and selective liquidations, particularly of the Black Panther Party members, had already began. Now you see what they did to the Black Panthers. The obsolescence of blacks in America and their will